This is Luke from Roach's Island Shrink Wrap. We're here today testing out the biodegradable shrink wrap from Bioaqualife, and we're going to see how it performs and compares to regular shrink wrap. Definitely tacks easier than the white stuff. You don't need as much heat. Usually it wouldn't come together that fast. So far so good. All right, so we laid our piece over the boat. We trimmed it down, put it in some folds. We're about to tack it up here, and then we'll shrink it and see how she wraps up. All right, so we're all wrapped up here. Really impressed with this stuff. It seems like it shrinks a lot more than the white stuff. I didn't even bother heating the very top because you can see it's so tight already, so why even bother? And the other thing that really stands out to me is how cleanly and easily it welds to itself. With regular shrink wrap, you don't often get a seam like that. This will be easy. Slap a little tape on top of. Oftentimes with the white stuff, it doesn't get as flat. So overall, great first impression. So just heated below the rub rail so far. I had to turn the gun down a little bit over there. Definitely feels like it needs less heat than any shrink wrap I've used before. And it's already tightened up a bunch. You can see how tight it's already become on the top after we've only done below the rub rail. And that's a good thing because it means we'll use less heat up top. And as shrink wrap shrinks, it gets thinner. So the less heat we have, the thicker it'll stay, less likely that there will be a hole or any sort of issue over the winter. So Bioaqualife also makes this biodegradable shrink wrap tape, which is great. I think anyone who shrink wraps knows how much of this stuff they go through. So it's I'm glad to see that they're thinking about that as well. And it would look pretty ugly with white tape on here. So I'm a big fan of the pinked edge, so it's easy to tear with your hands. Cool. So this feels, it's like a little bit more difficult to pull off the roll than normal shrink wrap tape, which I think is a good thing because if it's hard to pull off the roll, it should mean that it's stickier. So obviously we'd have to see how this holds up over the winter to make a final judgment on well, everything, but especially the tape, which often will come off, but so far so good. All right, so we just finished wrapping up this boat with Bioaqualife's biodegradable shrink wrap film. Overall, a great impression in terms of installing it. It's the same as regular shrink wrap. Comes off the roll the same way, pulls apart about the same, if not maybe a little bit easier. In terms of heating it, I did notice that I needed a little bit less heat than I do with regular plastic, and it seems like it's a bit stickier than the white stuff, especially when I was folding it up here, and it seems like that weld is a little bit stronger. It's like I can't really pull this seam down, whereas with the white stuff, usually you can kind of pull that down if you try and pull it apart. So my impression is that weld is stronger, which is great because that means it's less likely to have a problem over the winter. And even with this seam here, it's taped now, but when I folded it over itself before it was taped, it was just a little bit cleaner than regular shrink wrap, and the tape went on a little bit more smoothly. So to me, from an installation perspective, it was a little bit easier to put on than regular shrink wrap, less heat, stickier, nothing really new or different other than a little bit less heat. And of course, the best part about this is it's biodegradable, right? Once it's in the landfill, it'll start to break down, and this piece of plastic isn't going to be around for 1,000 years. So to me, it's an easy win.